Hello Guitar Junkies, this is Marcus Deml, a warm welcome. And today is all about the thought, what guitar would you take to a deserted island if you only had the choice to just grab one of your beautiful guitars? And the thought came about since we had a little fire here right next to the studio, which of course is traumatic. Nothing happened. It was a power shortage and the fire alarm went off. Everything went fine. But it got me thinking, what guitar would I grab? And what qualifies a guitar to be the guitar? Well, to my surprise, well, it's not really to my surprise, but maybe to your surprise, it's this guitar, which is a 57 reissue from 1987, September 87, that is. Point number one, what I think qualifies a guitar for that is the emotional connection that you have with the instrument. And in my case, well, this is very special because I had this guitar for 34 years and it walked into my apartment just a few months after my only really good guitar was stolen on Christmas Eve, actually, in New York. I didn't have any money to buy a new guitar. I got only a few $100 from the flight company. So this gentleman and great guitar player, Lee Wortman, walks into my apartment. He was my neighbor. And he sees a white Stratocaster and he offered me a trade, which I was reluctant at first, but then I hit one note and it was love, which is basically what always happens if I get a new guitar. It's a matter of seconds. So suddenly, not only did I have a new guitar, but I had a guitar that sounded better than my stolen one. I pretty much played this guitar exclusively for the next 20 years because, well, I was broke. I was a broke musician. I worked hard. But so this instrument is, I don't know on how many albums, probably about, 300 to 500, something like that when I was a session guy. This was the only guitar. And, I could just play everything with it. It was at almost every gig, and every little scratch you see is mine. I always say this is the guitar that not only changed my playing, but I relearned it or learned it. And so this is not a relic instrument. Nothing ever happened to it. It never had a bad fall. Just nothing. Every little scar is from playing it probably over 1,000 gigs and all these recordings. And it's on every album that I ever did. I mean, every album. It's been sharing the spotlight with my White 63 for the last 14 years or something. But I always played, and I just played about half of the new album of the Marcus Deml group, which is going to be called Pure, and I don't know when it's coming out, but it's finished. And half of the album is this guitar. Once again, I'm just so attached to it. Anyway, so the emotional connection to an instrument is just so important because I've seen people with amazing guitars, vintage guitars, old Les Pauls, and they're not attached to them. For them, it's just a collector's item. And, there's not much else to it. The second point that's just as important for an instrument like that, in order to be attached to it, it's functionality. How does it work? And we all know an HSS Stratocaster like this, well, it's probably the most versatile instrument you can get. I mean, I can go to a funk gig, a pop gig, a fusion gig, a metal gig, a country gig. It does everything. You might get a specialized guitar, get a telly for the country gig, and it might be better. But if I only have the possibility to take one instrument, I always take this one. So every time I have to do a flight gig, that's the only guitar that is with me. As far as the specs are concerned, well, it's a player, of course. Everything has been changed on this instrument except the neck and the body. and the tremolo plate and the block. Number one, it has locking tuners. So the reason, and I love these have these, they're a bit taller. Nobody seems to make those anymore. Makes string changing super easy. I changed 6 strings in less than 120 seconds and I'm in tune. Of course it has a bow nut. I refretted it twice. These were 6105s, which were great on this guitar because it was lacking actually high end. This is probably the darkest sounding Stratocaster I've ever played. It still has some ring to it, but if you compare it to the pre-CBS ones, I mean, I have 2 with the rosewood. Those are much brighter than this one. The pickups, of course, have been changed numerous times. Name a pickup company, I've had it in there, and it finally ended when I got with Klopman pickups, Klopman Electrics. And this, of course, is my signature set. This was the very first prototype that Andreas gave me. The pickguard I've changed to a 3-ply because, well, don't hate me for it. I think thicker pickguards just sound better because, well, they cover more than half of the guitar, right? Is there anything else? Well, it doesn't hum. There's a push, and this works only for the neck pickup. So I can reduce the hum radically. The in-between position is not humming. I don't have a coil split at the moment because I don't miss it. I had it before. The coil splitting on the Deml Bucker really sounds great, but I don't really use it. As a master tone, master volume. The trem, as I said, is all original, but the saddles just had to go. You couldn't move them, and the guitar was sounding very muffled. I just did that last year. The only original one is the low E string. I kept that. It was the only one that was functioning. Anything else? Anything else? No, you can just see the scars. That's all there is to this guitar. Point number 3 that makes the Deserted Island guitar, in my opinion, is the power of habit. I'm so used to this thing that I can pretty much adapt to any kind of new situation. A new situation for you might be you run to a session, you don't have your gear, you don't have your pedals, you don't have your amp, but you can always rely on this or something like this if you know it so well. So you know what the guitar is capable of, so it's a lot easier for you to adapt to, let's say, the new amplifier, the new studio, and you're hearing it to the monitors that you don't know. New microphones, all these things that change the guitar sound radically, but you just know how to touch it, you know, how to strike it, how much pressure you put on your pick, etc., etc. I just know it. You know, it's just like an old pair of jeans. So my suggestion to you might be a bit strange, but instead of always looking for the new guitar, just might as well get used to something that you already have. Do some modifications, and these instruments, if you play them that long, they will also sound better, you will sound better, and you have something, a very reliable factor in your playing. So this instrument, this Fender Stratocaster from 87, September 87, called Lee, is my Deserted Island guitar. This was Marcus Deml. Let me know what your Deserted Island guitar is in the comment section. I see you next time. Love and peace. Marcus Deml. Peace out.